I don't know what it is, but I have been on a Disney kick lately. I mean, I love it, but I'm so used to doing Zelda type videos that it's nice to focus on something else. I love it. With that in mind, today I want to talk about the Disney Pixar film Monsters University and how it sends college students and young adults a good message on hard work and humility. Hey y'all, I'm the Geek Apprentice, and yes, I'm talking about lessons for adults in children's films yet again. More specifically, the ones I've noticed in Monsters University, Disney Pixar's prequel to Monsters Inc. Also, I apologize for the noise in the background. There's no way I can get rid of it. Monsters Inc. came to theaters in the year 2001 and was a story about a world filled with monsters who get their energy for their world by harnessing the screams of children in the human world. Ew, that's really terrifying in hindsight. The story focuses mainly on the dynamic scaring duo Mike and Sully and their adventures as a little girl from the human world accidentally makes her way into the monster world, which causes mass chaos because the monsters are led to believe that human children are toxic. And as a teacher of both dance and musical theater, I just have to say, yeah, that's hand sanitizer's my best friend. Oh my gosh, I love my students, but oh my gosh, yes. Throughout their journey, they discover a dastardly plot being executed by their own boss, Mr. Waterdeuce, and their rival and co-worker, Randall. In the end, all is well after a bittersweet parting as they send the little girl, Boo, back home. Until they realize Monsters Incorporated is going to be shut down because of the whole scary plot thing Until they remember the effect Boo's laughter had in their world. Realizing that laughter is better than screams, or rather, joy is stronger than fear, they find the ultimate and most joyous solution to their world's energy crisis. Seriously, y'all, my short beyond short summary synopsis of these films is... they don't do them justice, okay? Like, they're just to freshen up your memory. You shouldn't even be watching this if you haven't seen both Monsters Inc. and Monsters University. What's wrong with you? Go watch them. Moving on. Monsters University released in 2013, roughly 12 years after the release of Monsters Inc. This sequel, or rather a prequel, gives us the backstory on Mike and Sully's roller coaster friendship once they meet at Monsters University. Which, of course, confused a lot of us in the beginning because there's that line from the first film about knowing each other, like in the 5th grade, but Pixar can do what they want. And what we see is a stark contrast in how these two view work ethic and the job of scaring. Their conflict derives from their equally stubborn personalities being pitted against each other, as Sully believes that his father's fame, as well as his own natural talent, should be enough to make him the best scarer, while Mike believes that pure knowledge and his straight A grades should make him the best scarer. Each has their uses, but both end up failing miserably on their own. In order to keep their place at MU after a mishap during one of their scare exams, they have to team up together and with an underdog group of monsters to win a scaring competition. In true Disney Pixar fashion, they of course accomplish their goals after meeting a few obstacles, except they don't actually stay at the university. However, Mike and Sully end up becoming best friends and take their lives in a way different direction than either of them initially intended. They start a job together as mailroom people at Monsters Incorporated, and after a few years, their talent is recognized and they work their way up the ladder to become the dynamic scaring and eventually laughing duo that we know and love. Now, there are several nice messages spread throughout this film. The power of friendship and working together. Even the seemingly weakest among us, given good counsel and opportunity, can rise up as underdogs. There are definitely consequences for your selfish actions. Popularity won't get you too far. Just being smart is not enough. Hard work and humility tied together are the key to getting almost anything you need in life. All of these are awesome themes that even us adults really need to be reminded of from time to time. But the one I find the most poignant for the original audience of Monsters Incorporated is the one about hard work and humility. If you watched my last video about mature themes in Ralph Breaks the Internet, then you already know where I'm going with this. Which apparently putting the word mature confused a lot of people. My videos are always PG. I mean, mature does not just mean R-rated. Come on, people! The original audience of the first film was what? roughly 7 to 10 years of age. So how old were they when Monsters University released? Roughly 19 to 22, college-aged, young adults, just like Mike and Sully are, well, not their voice actors, but the characters are in the film. And thus, the original audience is probably going through some similar stuff, making all of these themes really relevant, but especially that last one. Let's start with Sully. So you got that kid in high school who was all that in a bag of chips, had a lot of money, whatever, but now they've gotten to college and that popularity claim does not get them too far anymore. They don't have humility and they don't have the work ethic. Then you've got people like Mike, straight A student, smartest and most knowledgeable kid in his class. However, it blinds him to his purpose behind getting those good grades in the first place. Having good grades means diddly squat if you're not going to use the knowledge and wisdom you've gained and apply it to your life in a meaningful way. So while Mike was pretty hardworking and Sully definitely was not, the thing they both really lacked was humility. Sully thought he was great because of his natural talent and claim to fame, while Mike thought he was great because he got all the A's and knew everything there was to know. But do you think either of them at the start of that film would have been willing to do that mailroom job? No, because they both thought they were above it. When I was in college, I noticed these two tropes heavily. You had the ones that just wanted to skid by and have a bunch of fun, but they would eventually get really lazy and fail their classes. And thus, they're not prepared for the real world because they're not willing to work hard to get what they want. Then you have those students that are so 100% focused on getting the perfect grade that they drive themselves mad. Sure, they might get all A's and they'll definitely get their degree, but what is that worth in the real world? Having the degree is one thing and that's great, but that perfectionist personality is gonna drive you even more insane in the real world because you're gonna have to realize you're not gonna please everyone no matter how much you know or how perfect your grades are. Bringing this back to humility, where is that applied in the film? Mike and Sully each have to put away their pride and accept the other's help, accept the other's individual talents in order to get to their end goal. In this, they're kind of forced to recognize the strength of the other, especially when paired with their own. Had they both remained stubborn, Sully would have inevitably flunked, and Mike would have inevitably been disappointed when he wasn't hired as a scarer at Monsters Incorporated. But thankfully, that didn't happen. Like I said, they put away their pride, they were able to work together, and with that band of underdogs, if you will, to meet their end goal, and even though they didn't stay at the university, they gained so much more. Tough though it was, they took a job in the mailroom center of Monsters Incorporated. But Sully was no longer relying on his fame, and Mike was no longer relying on perfect grades. Instead, they relied on hard work, humility, and friendship, and that is what got them recognized to becoming the scaring duo we know and love from the first film. So what does this mean for the original children's audience who became young adults around the same time Monsters University released? We are entering the crazy, demanding world that is adulting. We cannot be lazy and just skid by, nor can we rely on perfect straight A grades to get us where we need to be. What's ultimately going to be recognized is hard work paired with humility. Working hard to make what little part of the world we are in better. And no, that may not always be the case, as the world's a little rough around the edges at times. But this simple message is a great one, especially for those of us who grew up with Monsters Inc. With this prequel, we got to see how Mike and Sully became Mike and Sully. It didn't happen overnight. It took a lot of hard work and humility and swallowing their own pride. Work hard, stay humble. The adult world is crazy, but don't give up on your dreams. Just recognize that you might have to make some sacrifices of self along the way. It'll be worth it though. What did you think of Monsters University? I actually really enjoyed it despite my initial skepticism when it first released. It was really cool to see Mike and Sully as 18-year-olds, especially since I was also 18 when this film released. Y'all, the more I rewatch these DreamWorks, Disney, Pixar, and other children's animated films and their sequels, the more amazed I am at how many deep messages there are for adults. If you'd like to see more videos like these, which believe me, there's plenty more to talk about, just let me know in the comment section below. And while you're at it, feel free to subscribe. But that's all for today. Thank you for watching.